What's up, y'all? Do we just leave it? I think we just, tweak it a little bit. The camera angle, yikes. He does it after he starts it. Today's the 27th of November, 2025. It's Thanksgiving here in the United States of America. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Not only the founder, right? I'm in this for life, leading this thing as I do. I want to explain something real quick. We're on episode 180, by the way. This is what we're doing. This is episode 180 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. 180. Okay? And you hear me where you do. I speak so bold. What we do here, this is where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, okay? In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Now, the gospel of Jesus Christ. Let me get settled in, because this title is How to Be Bold. Man. And I don't give instructionals as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, as, Evan Strong. I don't care for people to believe me. I say it often and very clear, don't believe me. Don't believe me, Evan Strong, or In the Image Clothing Company, with anything we say, right? I mean, because truth is truth, and it's apart from all of us. Truth is God. That's another name for God, is the truth. And so that's the whole thing. We're all human beings. We're on the same earth and placed here by the same God who designed us. So that's what we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company podcast, is just life as it is. Doing all we can to get down to the truth. But I say so often, don't believe me, and now we've got this, dichotomy, if you will, or this opposition that is in all things. Okay? Yeah. Man. Well, I'm saying how to. I'm giving you a how to. Instructional. I'm giving an instructional video, or audio only if you choose to only listen to In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Right. It's available in video plus audio as well if you're just listening only. How to be bold, really. But don't believe me. What is he saying? How does he do it? What's he talking about? And I kind of sit in this place, the space in between, as we can call it often, where it's kind of a slippery little place. Like, shoot, he's saying things that are correct, but he says, take me out of it. I say it all the time, like, take me out of it. Don't believe me. It's not about me. No, it couldn't be, because truth is truth. But listen to what I'm saying. It's like, what? How to be bold. We had a big Thanksgiving extravaganza today, if you will. We had the family over, just my immediate family, my extended family. It was good. How to be bold. How do you do it? Because you hear me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. We do so much and always will through the gift of video, as I call it, right? All four sides, because there are four sides to In the Image Clothing Company, on all of them. Where I do, you hear me screaming and yelling, and I'm so bold, and my voice is loud, and I'm a 6'2", maybe even 6'3" now, potentially, after my body has been allowed to work, right? Allowing the body to work, what we do on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. We get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue through, allowing the body to work. And I'll talk about it more where I do in here if I do, but I mean, I'll be screaming, And I'm a man, and I've got a loud voice, and I probably seem very intimidating. And then you've got this, phrase that comes out of my mouth so often, like, don't believe me. And it's common for us, and me, personally, I've experienced this, and I know a lot of people have and do where they do, to come across people, right, that are always like, you better believe me on this, you better believe me. And they're, like, pointing their fingers, and they're, like, staring at you, and they're, trying to really dig under your skin, and they're so bold and overbearing for their own sake. Now, this is the whole thing with being bold. And how do I do it? How does Evan Strong, me, the one speaking, just, I'm speaking on my own experience because I'm the one giving this how-to, be bold. Truly, this is a tutorial. This is legitimate, actual tutorial. How to be bold. How do you do it, though? How do you actually do it? Because usually in life, people don't like people who are bold. We live in a world, right, where people are so passive aggression. Because being aggressive, it's not a bad thing, right? There's a difference between hostility, just like out of control, like rage, versus just being very aggressive. You can aggressively tell somebody how much you love them, right? Or you can aggressively like save somebody from a burning car, you know what I mean? Or like a burning building, or just some like terribly like physically traumatic bad experience. You can very aggressively like save the day, and that's great. You know, there's a time for aggression. And so this idea of being passive aggressive, we live in a world where people don't like to be bold, and people don't like bold people. A lot of the time, a lot of people don't like bold people. There's some people that love bold people. But then why are you being bold? Is it that example where you're just that person, you want people to believe what you're saying because you're saying it and you're so bold and you're screaming at them? And you better believe me, you know? I'm so bold about it. You better believe me. You better believe me. You know? Yikes, that person's bold, but you don't even like it because you don't want to believe anybody, you know? Not really. We don't want to actually believe anything. Believe it or not, don't. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast. And I tell you, you know, whoever you are, any listeners of the other end of In the Image Clothing Company content, and just in my daily life, and it's not some claim or something I just started to say, but I don't believe in anything. Because you take all the beliefs away and what's there, because there has to be something there to first, you know, have the ability to believe or not. There has to be something first. You couldn't believe in anything if there wasn't anything there to begin with. I believe that it is, but what's the it? It's got to be there first. There's truth first, and then beliefs could come, but they don't matter. There's only truth. Yikes, it's so harsh. He's so bold. How to be bold. How do you do it? How do you really do it? Because if you're doing it in a way where you want to be bold, because you want to be bold, you want people to listen to you, you want people to take your ideas, you want people to do what you say because you said it, and you're being all bold about it. People don't like you. People leave and walk out of your life. People have all these bad, you know, views on who you are. If you're just being bold for your sake. But we love people who are bold in life when they're bold for the right reasons. So how to be bold properly? Here's my tutorial. Here's Evan Strong's tutorial on the 27th of November, 2025. How to be bold? You speak the truth. Now, here's the thing, is we're all human beings, and we're all imperfect and always will be in this life. So how do we, being imperfect human beings, speak perfect truth? Another name for God is the truth, right? We established that here in this, and we say that where we talk about it, we read it in the Book of Mormon and in the Holy Bible, in Scripture, talking about Jesus Christ, our God, who were designed in the image of, there you go, in the Image Clothing Company. Anything that clothes the human body, we're very intentional about, okay? Because there's only one way the human body could ever work. And boy, is that bold. What's he saying? He's trying to get us to believe it, huh? He thinks he has a breakthrough. This is what I mean. I'm talking in like a third person type, like I'm not me all of a sudden. I'm talking about myself as myself. But I'm so bold, and I'm telling you something that you need to know because it is true, but I say don't believe me. And where is he? How is he doing? Where is he going? How is he here? He's not here. He's talking about himself as if he's not even here. And he's so bold about it. And somehow he's not even having a side to take. He's just being bold. About what? Truth. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. We talk about it, you know, the center line. There's a center line to Earth's gravity. And I can sit there and I can be as bold as I could possibly be about it, and don't believe me. It's apart from me. Somebody over across the Earth somewhere could just tell somebody else. There's a center line that Earth pulls down on everything with its gravitational pull. To the center of the rock in space that our mechanical machine, which is the human body, right, is placed onto. And so they can say it over on the other side of the earth somewhere, and I can say it here, and it's the same. And we can be as bold as we could possibly be about it because it's apart from us. It's the truth. We didn't decide it, right? We didn't design it. We can't decide it. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. How to be bold. Speak on things that matter and not because of you. What is that? That's the truth. That's the most fulfilling thing you'll ever have or get or be able to do or be a part of or speak in your life. And the only thing that even matters at all is truth. The only thing that is even there at all is truth. Opinions, beliefs, perceptions, they're fluff on top of what we have opinions, beliefs, or perceptions on, which is the truth. There's only truth. Did I just decide something? How is he so bold about it? My friend tried to tell me what they thought was true, and I didn't want to hear it. I don't care how bold they were, and they didn't seem like they even could back their own claims. How is Evan Strong sitting here so bold about it? How to be bold? Speak the truth. What is truth? Something you didn't decide. You couldn't possibly. I can't decide there's a center line to my body with musculature on both sides connecting into the center line evenly, and the human body only poles, which is a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. The human body only poles. All musculature just takes the endpoints where it's connected and pulls them together. Even in a motion that seems like we're pushing, we're just pulling two endpoints of musculature's insertions together and extending a joint, and we're actually legitimately pulling our hand away from us when we think of it as a push. It's impossible to push. It's not a blanket statement. We discussed the anatomy of the human body in depth under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Musculature only contracts, and so, I can be as bold as I can be on something that I didn't decide because it's the truth. And often you have to be very, very bold in a world full of opinions for the truth to get through. Because you can be as bold as you want about your opinions and you annoy people. And people start to walk from your life and to somewhere else that is not around you. We don't like bold people for the sake of people being bold because they want to. But we as human beings love people who deliver it to us straight, right? Straight shooters. People who give us the information correct the first time. Or, usually maybe they just don't really say anything until they're certain that it is true, because they don't get to decide, so they go find out the truth apart from them, and they come and tell it to you as it is. And then they can scream it in your face and be so bold. And you probably love it. We just want to know what's going on. We just want the truth, so you can be as bold as you want. How to be bold? Speak the truth. How to speak the truth? Shoot. Well, imperfectly. Now, how does that work? This is why it's this whole thing where don't believe me. Because if you don't believe me, Evan Strong, me, in first person, if that's the proper way to say that. I think so. Pretty sure. But just me speaking as me, right now. Without doing like a hypothetical character type thing, who's saying what to who. Just me speaking right now. Don't believe me, ever. But if it was possible for me to just be entirely correct on speaking things as they are, outside of myself, things I never decided, the truth, perfectly. If I could say that perfect all the time, ever, no matter what, if I'm saying things about truth perfectly always, you would never have to believe a single word that I could ever say. But you could also trust that every single word I ever said was true, correct, as it is, undisputed, unchanging, the same yesterday, today, and forever, God. Jesus Christ. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Designed in the image of God, there's a neutral to everything. There's a center line to everything. Because there's not only a center line to the body, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw stabilizes the entire body. These are the things I discuss as being the center line to the body. But I was just thinking a minute ago here, right before I started filming this, there's a center line to the positions of the body And we can word it like that because I say, there's also a neutral to every joint. There's a neutral to every rotation. Internal versus external. Okay? In the body. From the hands to the elbows and the forearms, from the hands to the shoulder and the whole arm, from the foot to the knee and the lower leg, and from the foot to the hip and the entire leg. This is the truth. This is something I could be so bold about because it's not my choice. How to be bold? Learn what's really going on and discuss it. But you can't learn something that you decided. We can only learn about things that are outside of us. Otherwise, we decide things, and we don't really. Not really. We can decide how to, do something in our life. I'm going to decide to hang this banner on this wall. But once it's hung, you don't decide that the banner has been hung. The truth is it got hung on the wall. You see what I mean? How to be bold is learn who God really is. We don't like people who are bold for their sake. We don't. That's what we call overbearing people. So in the scriptures, we talk about using boldness, but not overbearance. Be bold, but not overbearing. Now that's a fine line that I tend to cross. I'm imperfect. Don't believe me. Ever. At all. But when I'm saying things that are true, you can just learn the truth, and I can be the deliverer of it. So how to be bold? Well, try to do all you can to take your opinions and throw them in the trash can and never see them again. That's what's weird about life is we want to be bold a lot of the time so people will listen to us. We have to take ourselves out of it and serve God, and then we get fulfilled, and then we can stand there and just scream things, and people have a positive reaction to it. If we're just aligning what we're saying and doing with God, the truth. And I'll never do it perfect. I never possibly could. I could never claim to, but even if I did claim to, it's backed by, hey, don't believe me. How does he do it? Where is he? Where's the guy sitting? What side's he on? Well, you can't serve two masters. And the whole thing about a master is if somebody has mastered something, they do it very, very, very well. Perfect, really. If the word mastery means essentially, it would mean perfection, right? And God is perfect. And so again, if we're just speaking on God, then there you go. You're speaking things perfectly. But we're imperfect human beings, delivering perfect truth. But it doesn't matter because, as long as we're doing all that we can, we're never going to be perfect anyway. So it's either you be bold about what you think you want people to believe or something and nobody really cares, or they care a lot until they realize they never did, but they were hopeful that you had some breakthrough. They didn't end up being what you thought it was, or were telling them out of your boldness that it was, and now they're upset with you for being so bold with them on something that just led them astray. Or, just confused them and told them falsities. But you were so bold about it. And they wanted you to believe it. Or you wanted them to believe it. Whoever was delivering the thing so boldly, there was an opinion. And so that's really how to be bold, is back it with the phrase, don't believe me. Your friend's sitting there thinking nobody's ever been through their situation, and you scream in their face and say, you are not alone. I've dealt with the same thing. Stop thinking the whole world's against you. Well, because really it is. What in the world? Even that in itself, before I got through what I thought I was going to say in that, there's two sides there. You yell at someone so bold because you love them. Even that in itself. It's an opposition. It's I think that's the word, right? Dichotomy. It's two sides of it. It's like yelling at somebody is something that often we think you do to somebody when you're mad at them. but really it's because you love them. And so it kind of seems like there's two different sides here. And your boldness is you speaking the truth to them. You better not think the world's against you and you're all alone in it. Okay, you're so bold about that. But after it, you follow it with, well, that's really the case. And so that's kind of like saying, well, don't believe me. You speak something so bold and true, and you back it with, well, it is what it is. Don't believe me. It's outside of our control. There's two sides to it. Because the whole thing is, you're delivering the truth. You don't need to think the world's all against you and blah, blah, blah because of you. But the truth is the world's against us all. We're here to overcome the world. It's a challenge. It's a challenge to get through. That's what God did first. Jesus Christ, he came and overcame the world as our perfect example. And we're here to follow his journey, his will, his direction, his course, and come back home to him, God himself. So that's the thing. That's the weird thing about truth, is that it's backward, it's on both ends, it's paradoxical, there's opposition in all things. These are words that are used in Scripture, right? True doctrine of Jesus Christ, our God himself. Because it's like this, you sit there, yell at someone, and you're saying the same thing on two ends, and you're so bold, and it's true, and they don't need to even listen to what you're saying because you say it. Because if you're saying it to them, or if somebody from across the earth comes and says it to them, it's just true. And so you can be as bold as you want, right? And you can be bold about something that has two opposing sides that are both exactly true. I love that idea, right? You're yelling at someone so much, which is already weird, because you love them. And we often think you be so gentle and sweet with people you love. No, really the healthiest relationships are the ones that have a lot of just bold, there you go, fighting, arguing, healthy arguing, two sides to something to really, really get down to, well, there you go, the truth. So you're yelling at somebody, telling them, hey, don't sit there and think the world's against you. Because you don't have to sit there and focus on, think, or believe the world is against you. The truth is the world's against you. A human being in this world, right, the man-made world, yeah, it's against you. It's hard to make money, whatever that means, in whatever time, in whatever way, to have a place that you could call your own, to have a shelter, to get around through transportation, to have friends, because we're all different, and sometimes it's just hard to be around people. To even have a good family dynamic or have, romantic relationships. It's hard. The world's against you, and that's the truth. But don't sit there and think about it and believe in it and, dwell on it. It's just true, right? So there's the truth, and don't believe it. Oh, what? But you were so bold about me not thinking the world's against me, yet the world's against me. And then you tell them, no, but that's the truth. The world is against you. Huh. Why are you so bold then? Why are you yelling at me then? What's going on? The person's sitting there thinking, because it's like, you got to pierce through it. You got to pierce through all the beliefs and all the views and just look at the truth. How do you be so bold? How do I sit here and scream about it? There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's impossible to train it. It's a mechanical machine designed by God. There's a neutral to everything, a center line, if you will, to everything. And that's what I was saying, right? I mean, you dangle your arms down at your sides just when you're standing vertical on earth, and there's a center line just down your arm from your shoulder where it connects to your body to the tip of your fingers. That's essentially the same thing as saying a neutral wrist. Okay? There's a center line down the middle or the center of the wrist or the entire arm when it's just locked out straight, hanging down like a pendulum. From the shoulder capsule down to the fingertips with Earth's gravity, because there's a center to Earth's gravity. So the point is, you can be so bold about it and then say, well, don't believe me, though. It just is what it is. Because then you're not in the wrong. You can never be in the wrong being bold about truth. Because people, don't have a problem with people being bold. That's what I mean. We love people who are bold if they're doing it for the sake of speaking the truth. But a lot of the time in life, we're dealing with people that are so bold because they want you to believe something. We don't like that. It's like, dude, would you just leave your opinions to yourself, right? Go do whatever you do and don't involve me in it. Somebody who's just like bold about their opinions. But somebody who's so bold about the truth, a paramedic, an EMT, someone coming into the scene of a crime, right? A law enforcement officer, somebody who's really knowing what they're doing, somebody breaking up a fight. You got these people bickering and arguing, you know, and it's kind of like pushing each other around, getting a little out of hand, and a third person comes in, you know, a third party, if you will, and they're like, hey, break it up, man, and they throw one person to the side, the other person to the other side, and they're even more bold than either of the people in the fight. And they point fingers like, you sit down and you sit down. You guys are brothers. You know, it's like brothers fighting. You know, like a parent saying this to their kids, the brothers. Break up a fight. The parent is so ridiculously bold, even more so than the fight between the kids. And the kids love it. Because the parent's like, you are brothers. You better love each other. You're gonna apologize to him, okay? You guys know you love each other. You just got to get over this silly bickering and fighting, right? And the parent's so bold. And that's the best thing they could do. Approach it with such boldness because they're speaking the truth. You see what I mean? Put away all the silliness, kids. Just yesterday, you guys were just playing in the backyard, having a good time together. What are you doing fighting again? There's all this boldness behind these words, and it's like, rah. And we love that. As human beings, we love that. As the children, those two kids, you know, the brothers fighting, they would love it. They're looking at their dad, if the dad's, you know, the one being all bold and like, man, you're right. Sorry, Dad. Man, I'm sorry, you know. And then we can look at it like this, is we're all children of God, sons and daughters of an eternal, perfect, almighty being. And so when God kind of, you know, points his finger at us and gives us the wrath of God, you know, and speaks the truth to us and puts us in our place, we love it. We love it. At first, we might be confused, like those brothers fighting. The dad comes in and throws one against one couch and one against another chair and parts them like this, you know. You stop fighting, kids. What are you doing? So bold. And at first, the kids are like, what's going on? You know, shocked from the boldness. But then they realize, like, man, you're right. You're right. It's a silly fight anyway. You're right. All right, I'm sorry, you know. You got to speak so bold sometimes to pierce through all the opinions. Because this silly fighting between the brothers, probably some kind of thing about who had a toy first, or who you know, was in line before the other, or, you know, who's better at this or something, you know, silly brother stuff. I don't have a biological brother. I didn't grow up with a brother like that, you know, so. But just siblings in general. But, you know, just, it's yeah, brothers, you know, especially fight so much like that. Just the silly kind of fighting, you know. No matter who you are, generation after generation, any part of the earth, any culture, just, you know, boys will be boys. There's that saying. That's what I mean, you know, just that testosterone buildup, you know, and yeah, men just play a different role than women, and so a lot of time there's just silly fights. And what it needs, and then what really makes it better, is when somebody outside of that silly fight comes in with such boldness. Boldness, but not overbearance. And you can get right up to that line without stepping over it, and it can be pretty darn bold. And then who's to really say what's overbearance? That's the hard part about that. That's hard. Because to some people, maybe they grow up in a house where there's like no boldness, and it's all this passive aggressive, like, oh, fine, no, you can take it. No, it's fine. It's fine. No, it's fine. It's okay. Just do it. Okay, it's fine. But all this fine talk is them like wanting to throw you through the wall. It's like, I'm so mad at you right now. But it's okay. You know, it's like, no, it isn't. You know, be bold about it and pierce through to the truth, and then everything can actually dissipate. All the disputes can dissipate at that point. That's what I say, you know, you can squash a debate with truth. How do you be bold? How to be bold? Well, find out what's really going on. Because that's the thing, you got all these people arguing. We can talk about the human body with this, right? Like I was. I mean, there's a center line. It's impossible to train the body. And Evan Strong, me, the one speaking, I don't have some opinion on this. As the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, this is what we do. It's about the human body, allowing the body to work. The clothing is just the only thing physically placed on us. It can really be in our way, you know, and just alter the only workings to our bodies. It's just a machine. And so that's the thing is people are sitting there, you know, arguing and bantering and bickering and bouting and fighting and pouting and shouting and, you know, all the things. I'm a lyricist. In the Image Clothing Company Music, another one of our fourths, you know, we do a lot with music. Okay, sizing and setup of guitar to not alter the body. Again, just a mechanical machine. There's a neutral to the wrist that we use our hands, you know, to play the guitar. That stems from the shoulder that comes down and, you know, to the fingertips. But really it stems at the spine, and really it stems at the feet that support the body before we could ever even get up to the spine, where the shoulder muscles connect, that come out to the shoulder, then out to the elbow, then out to the wrist, then out to the hand, and then we can touch the guitar from there with our fingertips. Do you see what I mean? And then really it's the pads of our fingers that work, not the tips. Yikes, right? So this is what I mean, is you squash a debate with truth. You can have people bickering and bantering and fighting and all the words that I said, right? Because we do a lot of lyricism on In the Image Clothing Company music as well. Rhythm and poetry, spoken word, that type of stuff. You know, it's really cool. It's cool. It's cool. Check it out if you want to. It's cool. But you can have all these people talking about how to get the body to do anything. And I feel like I need to, like, you know, make a lot of music. I mean, we've got a lot of series on, you know, we've got Metronome Madness, 40 episode series. Oh man. We've got some cool stuff we do with music. That's, you know, I just don't put all that much focus on discussing In the Image Clothing Company music. I haven't up until lately, you know. I mean, I just, you know, that's a whole fourth of In the Image Clothing Company. We do a lot with music. Just at certain times as of now is how it's been with that. But yeah, all right. Anyway, you got people discussing train your body to do this, you know, by working out, you know, contracting muscles. And then people over here will stretch your body to do this by pulling on your muscles. And okay, well, now these two people are saying two different things. And then somebody says, it's not even about the muscles, it's about the dieting. And then somebody else says, well, you know, it's really about the skeletal system, because it's a positioning, and all the musculature the body does anyway is move the skeletal frame that has a neutral. Well, that's what I say, and that's just what we show as In the Image Clothing Company. That's the truth, but that's what I mean is no matter what side of anything, anybody can try to be as bold as they want, trying to sell something because they want to sell something, because they want you to believe what they have to sell. Selling things is good, right? In the Image Clothing Company clothing, and then another one of our fourths, In the Image Clothing Company poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, and we just give information on letting dogs stay natural that applies to all dogs. Things like keeping collars centered. You know, human beings and dogs, it's just musculature and tendons opposing the center line of the neck where our collars are. In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification for human being clothing. A lot of free modifications for dog products, you know, and we just talk about letting dogs stay natural in all the ways that we do for human beings, right? Eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, just living our lives in general, right? Events, poodle parade events. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah. We're based in St. George, Utah. The southern end of Utah, right? We'll get people into nature, dogs into nature, just do a lot of fun, have a good time, okay? That's one of the events we do. Poodle parades. Yeah, we do a lot with keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes by just advocating for being good owners of dogs and how to proper breeding, you know, feeding and all the things, like I said, for dogs. And so we do a lot with what we do, man. Interacting with our dogs as the owners, holding leashes naturally so we don't alter our bodies, you know. Even as I was doing that motion, it was harder to speak, you know. Putting my body out of its only working position. Yikes. And so that's the point, right? You've got these people with all the different sides of the bantering. But what's the truth? You squash a debate with truth, and you walk in there as me, Evan Strong, and you know, we could say metaphorically walking in there. I walk onto the, you know, wherever it is that In the Image Clothing Company videos are placed, you know, and I film myself and I'm screaming out there at parks or on the side of the mountain or whatever, you know. Just a lot of it's outdoor. I love to film videos outdoors anytime we can. That's the goal, right? The goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company, and so uh, natural's outside, but also natural, neutral, and normal. Those of you in audio only, you're probably like, what's going on? I'm just showing the neutral wrist, right? The natural position the wrist would be, how the wrist would normally be if it wasn't altered, right? Neutral, natural, normal, they're synonyms. And so, how to be bold? Speak on things you didn't decide. You can speak as bold as you possibly want to. Try not to be overbearing, and that's something we all deal with, right? And then again, who's to say? Some people's overbearing is another person's like volume 3 out of 10. You know, it's like, right? Perceptions a lot of the time are a lot different on things just as they are. That's the point. You know, there's only truth, and it's crazy. It's a hard thing for us to understand as imperfect human beings who are opinionated. I'm just as human as anybody else, right? But you know, I try to do all that I can to not speak out of opinion because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for me or anybody else. That's how you be bold and not worry about it. Because that's the thing, is you can have anybody oh shoot. This is a good point to hit. This is a big point. You can have some kind of like seminar or class or like, you know, motivational type speech thing, you know, you go sit, you know, at somebody's informational deliverance and they sit there and they tell you, well, okay, kind of what I'm doing now, but I'm doing it out of how it actually has to be done. How am I so bold about that, right? Because I didn't decide it. That's what I mean. But let's say you do go. That's the point. See it. It's just as true as it is. You go to someone's class though, and they have like all these ideas and opinions on how to practice being bold. You know, start to say things so certainly and so boldly with your chest. Puff your chest out. Say it loud and harsh, and there you go. And don't look back on what you've said, even if it was wrong. You're going to look back on what you said if it was wrong. That's what I mean. This whole thing about you can't train the human body to get it to do anything. Anyone can tell you can, but there's only one way the human body actually works. It's a machine. The bones just connect the way they do. They have to track in line or else the whole body's damaged. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Everything's there. It all has a role to play individually. We can't drag around dead weight. Anywhere any of you goes, all of you comes. There's only truth, and that's how I can say it so bold. Okay, so at somebody else's class, let's say, or anybody's, even if I tried to teach a class and had an opinion on how to be bold and practice it, try it, do it, and then blah, blah, blah. You know, you can be bold about anything, but if you're wrong, you're going to feel all wrong about it, no matter how bold you were about it, because that's the point. We don't like people who are bold, that are trying to be right. We love people who speak bold truths, because there is only truth. That is the truth. It's what? What does that even mean? You know, I get it. If you don't get it, I get that that can be something that's hard to get at first. Or at all in life. It's, you know, we're never going to understand life fully in this life. No. And we have to be content with that. And that's the point, you know, that's the truth. That's what I mean. You try to be bold and try to practice it. Well, shoot, I just want to start cussing, bro. It's just as real as it gets. You can't train it. You can't train the human body to work. It's physically impossible. You can't, you know, practice or train being bold, because you can try to be all bold you want about something that you're just wrong about. And after you were so bold, you'll feel so wrong. Like, shoot, man, I just told these people something so certainly that was just absolutely not how it was. Darn. Maybe I should stop being so bold. You know, it's like, oh, shoot, what? You can't train being bold. But what you can do is learn more of who God is. And then you can speak about who God is. Me saying there's only one way the human body could ever work is telling you who God is. because God is, right? The designer of all things, the designer of the human being, designed in the image of Jesus Christ. God himself is the human body. So I can be as bold as I want about it as long as I'm speaking about it as it is. Because I don't get to have a say over how my bones connect. They just grew. I didn't decide it. How to be bold. Gain an understanding. Don't try to do something. Learn about things and understand them. Let things be what they are. I mean, it's like someone dies in your life and you can be so bold, like, dude, get over yourself. You know, somebody in your life is just, they can't handle it. They can't move past it. Dude, you say so boldly, right? You gotta just get over it. Are you kidding? People just die, dude. Your life is still continuing and it's not going to. Not really. If you don't get over this, dude, you gotta just get over it. And it's like, man, that's so bold, but that's exactly what I need to hear. Oh, I feel better now, you know? It's like, they're not being bold because they want us to believe something. That person right there, you know, yelling about it, like, get over it. They're dead. You gotta move on, you know? And they're so bold. That's harsh. But the truth is harsh. And the truth will set you free. And because that person was so bold with you about the truth, that you're not bringing that person back to life. And truly, your life is not really going to be able to go on. I mean, not really, you know, freely, if you're just so caught up on this person's death. No matter what, it's your wife, it's your husband, it's your mom, it's your daughter, it's, you know, whoever it is, the most influential, impactful person you were the most close to in your whole life. Get over yourself and move on. Someone says to you, so bold, that's the freedom that you need. And you love it. You'll love it. So hard to hear, so harsh. It hurts. The truth hurts a lot of the time. But when people speak it to you so bold, that's what you need. And that's what'll set you free. Then all of a sudden it's like, shoot, man, yeah. All these passive aggressive people, you know, trying to comfort me in my life. Like, I know that this person died and there's so much we can do to work through all this healing and grief process. Well, sure, but how long you want to drag something out? The fact is they're dead. Speak some bold truths and get over yourself, you know? And now you're free. Because there's only truth. Someone will tell you how long the grieving process lasts because they read some book that somebody else wrote about somebody else's information that they might have compiled from 45 other people's professors whose grandparents passed some information down to, or whatever, you know. And they tell you how long the grieving process takes, and they'll be there with you every step to work through it. But then you call them one day to help you work through it, and they don't pick up, and it's like, and you fall apart and die yourself. Yikes. Or you hear the truth that's very bold and say, you don't got to wait another second to put this all behind you and live your own life. Move forward. Get on with it. You're not going back. You're not bringing them back. Nothing you could do is going to change the situation besides just let it be what it is. I don't care how hard that is to hear. This is the truth, right? And they're so bold about it. How to be bold. Speak the truth. Why to be bold? As like a, you know, if we could add like a little, not that I'm wrapping this up right now, but like if we could add a little follow-up question after how to be bold, and we give the explanation on, well, you speak the truth in all the ways you can, just, you know, being an imperfect human being as we are. And then a follow-up question is why to be bold? Is that what I was asking? Kind of forgot why I was asking the follow-up question. Well, if that's the question, why to be bold? Because otherwise you live a wishy-washy life, a questionable life, you know, half in, half out life. Life of, I kind of believe this, but maybe not so much. I'm going to kind of like softly pretend to believe something, maybe, and if it works, okay. If not, then whatever. Or you be bold about it and like, no, I don't care. about things that you just don't need to care about, that aren't going to affect your life at all. No matter if somebody wants you to care about their stuff that they're telling you, you can be so bold, I don't care. And they'll be like, oh, good, that's good, because now I don't have to sit here and wonder if you care or not, when, you sound like you do, but I don't know if you're just trying to please me. And, I've been speaking to you about this for 15 minutes now. And man, if you would have just told me right at the very beginning that you didn't care at all, even though it was harsh, and it would be a bold thing to say if it was the truth, then I wouldn't have rambled on for 15 minutes when you don't even care. How to be bold. Well, that's the point. Why to be bold? It makes life easier. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to be bold. Hold on. That's not quite true, because it's hard to be bold if there's more to the phrasing. It's hard to be bold if and when it's you trying to do it for your sake. It's so easy to be bold if you're speaking the truth. That's what I mean. If you're speaking the truth, it's easy to be bold. If you know something, because no matter how bold you are, that thing still is what it is. I mean, if it snowed outside, and there's 8 people in the room here, and I'm just talking to them I just came back in the house, and it has snowed out there. You guys haven't been outside since yesterday? No? Well, there's snow outside. And you just walked in and you saw the snow. The truth is, there's snow outside, so you know that there's snow outside. There's something something that's true. It's just a fact. Something that's true, undisputed. There's snow outside. Any one of the 8 people in the room can walk upstairs, go outside, or just step out the door, wherever it is, and see the snow for themselves. It's there. It's true. Truth. It's apart from all of us. I didn't make it snow. None of you did either, but I just came back in and I've seen it and you guys haven't seen it yet. It snowed out there. And all the 8 people in the room were like, no, dude, it hasn't even been cold enough to snow. It doesn't even snow this time of year. What are you talking about? It doesn't even snow in this area of the earth, whatever the hypothetical. Everybody's getting after you dude, no, it didn't even snow out there. What are you talking about? You can be as bold as you want. It snowed outside. And you're tearing them up, with your words. All of a sudden, you start to act like a thug, It's you know what, bro? It snowed outside. I don't care what you believe. The truth is, it snowed outside. You walk out there yourself and you see the snow. And you can be as bold as you want, no matter what everybody else is saying. Everybody. Catch the phrasing? I didn't say no matter what anybody else is saying. No matter what everybody else is saying. How to be bold? Know the truth. Because you just walked inside from the snow, and you know it. You know the truth in that instance is that there is snow outside. So no matter what everybody else is saying, you know the truth. That's how to be bold, is you know the truth. Because everything else in life doesn't matter. Everything else in life is an opinion or a belief or a perception that leaves and doesn't even let them know for a second or two what's true. There's only truth, and if you're speaking the truth in all the ways you can and only the truth, why else are you saying anything in life? Have all the opinions you want. If they don't even line up, then they don't last. The only thing that lasts is the truth. The same yesterday, today, and forever. How to be bold in all the ways you possibly can. Even though we're all equally sinful human beings, just always do everything you can to speak the truth. Only. And don't even say anything else. That's how to be bold. Hear me screaming it. I'm being bold about it. Teaching you how to be bold. Because there's only one way to be bold. And have it actually work, actually matter, actually last, actually have a reason to. You can be as bold as you want about all your opinions. They don't matter. I don't care. You sit there and speak all your opinions to me through a megaphone. You're screaming with the loudspeaker in my eardrum about some opinion you got, and you're so bold about it. I don't care. You tell me something that's true, and whether I care or not, it's just what it is. You can be as bold as you want. You might not need to if nobody's trying to dispute it, but a lot of times people are trying to dispute the truth, and you can't. It's impossible. That's what I mean. All 8 people in the room telling you it did not snow outside. No, you're wrong. It's no, you are wrong. And regardless, hold on, right? So who's really right then? That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because this is the whole thing. Who's really right? No, I'm not even trying to be right. It's not about me. The truth is it snowed. I could have been in bed for 4 more days and didn't even know it snowed, and maybe it melted by the time I got outside. It wouldn't change the fact, the truth, that it snowed. Even if I didn't know. It's outside of myself. It's apart from me. The truth. This is how to be bold. You can scream it all you want. It snowed out there. I don't care if you believe it. It did. You know. Maybe they don't go out there and see it. So, all right, cool. You still know it snowed. Truth is still truth. You were bold as you could be because how to? How could you? Why did you? Well, in this instance, it's like, well, I don't know why you would, really. Other than to get people to see the truth, you could use it as an exercise. Beliefs versus truth. There's only truth. It snowed outside. Any one of the 8 goes outside. They see it snowed. There you go. And they all thought you were making something up. I don't know why they would, but let's just say, right? Who knows? Situations happen all the time where it's like, why are you guys trying to deny this? This is just what's going on. This is the truth. There is snow outside. I'm screaming at you because it's true and you're trying to tell me it's not. Take your own 2 feet and walk out there. You in a wheelchair? Oh, roll your little wheels out to the front door and look out the window. There's snow outside. And you start sounding like you're mocking people and you're so bold about it. And how? How are you so bold about it, right? How to really be bold? You speak the truth. Just speak things that are outside of yourself. It doesn't matter then. Who cares or who doesn't care? Who's got a problem with it or who doesn't? Who loves it or if nobody even knows what you're saying. If you're speaking the truth, you can be as bold as you possibly want. You know, I mean, don't like get all up in people's faces when there's not really a need. And then also, it's the whole thing, you know, God says, when Jesus Christ says, you know, go preach the gospel, right? The good news, the gospel of Jesus Christ, the good news of God himself. Go door to door, 2 by 2, right? Take 2 of you, Jesus Christ said to his apostles, and go. Preach the truth of God to everybody, in their households and wherever you go. And those that don't listen to you, just turn around and brush your feet off at the door and leave as a testimony against them. It's a testimony against all the 8 people in this room if I'm being so bold about the fact that it snowed outside and they're not believing it. That's a testimony against you. You're denying the truth. It snowed out there. I'm not even trying to get you to believe anything. Don't believe me. It snowed, right? Go outside. Go see it. Go see it. No? Regardless, I'm going to be as bold as I'm going to be about it because I just came in from outside. And it snowed out there. There's water on my boots and it snowed out there. And all of a sudden you're so bold, you know? It's like, you see this puddle on the ground? This is from the snow that was on my boots and it's melting. It snowed outside and you're just so bold. How are you so bold? How do you think that you got some kind of breakthrough? And this might be such an obvious thing. That's why it's so silly. The truth is so obvious to those that know it. But I mean, there was a time when I was so lost in life. Even though I was born into the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, you know, just the place that we go to uncover the truth. I'm not religious, and I mean it. I don't believe in anything, and I mean it. But that's what I mean is, you take all the beliefs aside, and there's only truth. Who gave you the opportunity to have a belief in the first place? Do you see what I mean? I mean, it's crazy, man. There's just only truth. It makes me like... You know, I mean, we're just unworthy to know God. He's perfect. But that's how to be bold, is just speak the truth. Just be true to your word in all the ways that you can. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled, You Don't Know What You're Talking About. Well, isn't that bold? Do I think that I know what I'm talking about? Because I'm telling you that you do not? Well, really, a lot of what I said in there was just... Don't say anything that you don't actually know. Because you can have an opinion on something that's wrong, but you can know the truth. And if you don't know the truth and you just speak on things, then you don't know what you're talking about. That's not my decision. And so that's how I can be so bold about it, pointing my finger like you don't know what you're talking about. You know, somebody's discussing the body and giving you some kind of stretching routine. This is what I mean. It's dumbfounding. It is impossible to benefit from stretching the body. And no, you know, I mean, times and places, in ways, maybe if, okay. And really, no. It's just not, dude. Muscles only contract. That means coming together. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work. And I'm sitting here being so bold. And how? How to be bold? Know what you're talking about. People out there telling you some kind of stretching routine and then they like take their words back, and that's impossible, right? That's why I say condemn me for what I have said by all means, just because at that point it's just only you judging. I can't take back what I've said. I can't change it, and neither can you. That's the truth. Even if I was wrong, even if I said something incorrect, even if I said something terrible and it's like, man, probably would have been good to not say that. Well, I already said it. No one can change it, so you're just going to be judgmental if you're going to even talk about it, or just keep your mouth shut. And boy, is that bold, because it's the truth. Do you see what I mean? There's only truth. There's only truth, bro. And it doesn't mean that I always just know exactly what is true in every situation or whatever. I'm just a human being. I'm just as human being as everybody else. Check that out. But that's the case, you know. That's ridiculous. You just can't stretch the body, so you got people out there giving you all sorts of routines to stretch your body on how to get it to do something well. You're pulling on your muscles, man. There's opposing muscles. One side shortens so the other side can relax. Now this side shortens and so the other side can relax, and then now you have a function working, but only because muscles are pulling. It's just the truth, right? There's only truth in life. And so anytime anybody's ever check that out. Anytime anybody is ever, listen how bold I am. How to be bold? Speak the truth. Anytime anybody is ever trying to teach you some kind of stretch routine, it's false. There's only one way the human body could ever work, and it all has to work together. If you stretch and deactivate one muscle, well, the other side now has to try to do twice the work when it's only half of a function. So it just physically could not possibly do so because there's opposing muscles. It's like, you know, the core abdominal muscles and the hamstrings work together to posteriorly tuck the pelvis. And then the lower back muscles and the quadriceps work together to anteriorly rotate the pelvis. The hip structure of the human being on Earth's gravity that we have no say over. There's only truth, and that's why I'm so bold about it. We have so much false advice. Advice in itself. You should never try to be bold about advice. You should never give advice. That's why I started this, you know, saying, well, toward the beginning, I was like, I'm legitimately giving you a how-to, but don't believe me. I'm not giving you advice. I'm telling you the truth, though, on how to be bold. It's not advice. It's the truth. Don't believe me. Let me just relay information that's outside of myself. Nothing to do with me. Evan Strong. Don't believe me, please. Please don't. but I'm speaking the truth. See what I mean? That's how you be bold. Speak on things that you didn't decide. Because there's not really anything that we can actually decide in life. Not really. Except for like how we structure our own personal lives, you know. What time we do what thing in the day, you know. Do you see what I mean? What car we purchase, what house we live in. Kind of, you know, those are sort of our decisions, but I mean, just don't speak on things, you know, out of, oh my gosh. There's just only truth, man. It's just ridiculous. You can't stretch the body. It's just crazy. So many people, I mean, yoga, so much of yoga is stretching. I know there's so much more to it, and there's different types of yoga. I get it. But it's crazy because people will go to school for 8 years, 10 years plus, however long it is, and get some degree, and they apparently know how the body works. And they're telling you things that are false. And they're trying to get you to believe it. So how to be bold? How to be Evan Strong? Don't try to emulate me. Please don't. Ever. But what I mean is how to be the founder of In The Image Clothing Company and speak as bold of truths as I do is because they're truths that are apart from me. I didn't decide them. That's how to be bold. Ah, man. I say so much, man, that people are like, how does he even get away with saying these things? There is only one way the human body could ever work. Stretching is damaging to the body. It's impossible to train the human being. You know, it's stuff like this, though, when I talk about how workouts are pointless. Your workouts go away. Once you stop doing them, all the benefit you got from them leaves. That's the truth. That's how to be bold, is just speak on things as they are. It's like, no, who's going to dispute that? Even if you're working out all the time, you got to keep working out all the time. Or just, goes away. Your muscles, the atrophy, the muscle mass and the hypertrophy you've gained, it basically deflates back to the human body's only normal, right? As we talked about, there's only a normal. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's God's design, not ours. How to be bold. What I said earlier, right? Gain an understanding. Really just learn who God is. Because then you just know what the truth of life is. You know what the truth of your body is, designed in the image of God. You know where you came from before this life. You know where you're going after this life. And you can go out there and you can preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, or AKA the truth of all things, using boldness while trying to not be overbearing. Because it's just, I mean, that's how to be bold. Oh, shoot. You notice it, man. There's some bold people in life. Oh, my gosh. People who are professionals at something. And we don't need to put a title on it, but people who are experts. There we go. Not some kind of like title that somebody gave them, but just because they are so good at something, they're an expert. As far as like on a level of like beginner, medium, intermediate, those are basically the same thing. Beginning, intermediate, really good, and even better than that, and then you're an expert. I mean, you basically know how to do the thing exactly correct, whatever it is in life. No kind of like label or titling that somebody gave you, but you're just so good at something, you're an expert at it. It's your expertise, right? People in those kind of fields, people who have just done something for so long, or just know something so well, and they're such an expert, truly. Nobody would dispute it because, again, truth is truth. You know what it is because it is what it is, and you can't dispute it because it's only what it is. Truth is truth. Things are only what they are. It's like, yikes, right? People are delusional, and I have been in my life as well. I'm not condemning. You got to speak it bold, right? How to be bold? Wake people up. Speak the truth. And so somebody who's an expert at something, actually, truly, and without even trying to put some label on it, truly, I am an expert on discussing how the human body works because I know how it works. I mean, I show it visually with my body, personally. I discuss the anatomy and the labeling of the bones and the functioning that's happening, and I can discuss it, dude, and I can show it, dude, and I just know it, dude, and you can't dispute it because it's the truth. But people who are experts at things, that's what I mean. That's why I'm saying myself right now, as I'm just talking about experts in things. Me, Evan Strong, I am an expert at an understanding, let's say it like that, yeah, of how the human body works, the only way that it ever could. Undisputed, okay? Take me out of it. So you get experts with anything in life, and often they're so bold. Like doctors, veterinarians. I've been watching a lot of television shows about people who are veterinarians. It's just like an animal doctor, right? The animal has a problem, and somebody who just knows this animal so well, they specialize and they're an expert in something. It's their expertise to work on a certain animal when it's injured. They've been doing it for 40, 50 years, let's say. You see what I mean? They just know the truth about it. So someone comes in and they've got all these opinions on what they think they could do to help this animal. This person's like, no, do not do that. If you do that, this is going to happen. And they tell you what's going to happen because it's the truth, because they know how the animal works, right? They know the anatomy of the animal. They know how the animal's body works. They know how surgery needs to be done because they've done it to like countless other animals of the same species, with the same exact anatomy and body parts that only work how God designed the animal's body parts to work, right? Or we could just say it for human beings as well. It's like a doctor, like a surgeon, man. But that's the thing, is there's still opinions in that in times. But that's why that's what I mean. Is there's only truth. How does something really work the best? And if you know it and you're an expert in it, then you just know. I mean, you go somewhere and it's your first time doing something, you can have all the opinions you want, or you maybe read a book or watched some how-to videos. You watched episode 180 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled How to Be Bold, and you just think you know how to be bold now. You know what I mean? You go somewhere and you're just like, I know how to do something because I heard somebody else tell me how to do it. I watched a video, I read a book, I had an introduction or took a class from somebody, or whatever. You've done all the research you think you could have done. You think you know. Then you go up to somebody who's like doing that thing and you're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. But this person's done it for like 60 years, every day. It's your first time, but you've done all the research and you think you know. It's like, no, I'm going to do it. And you're so bold out of an opinion. Nah, no. Because this other person who's done it for 60 years has seen it every day just about, for 60 years. That's your first time doing it. And you're so bold with your opinions, and they're all bold with the truth because they've seen it, right? Well, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled something like Seen It 1,000 Times. It's like, you've seen it once, you've seen it 1,000 times. This expert in something, it's like, I've seen people with all your gung-ho eagerness come in here, think they know what they're doing, and so bold about they think they know what they're doing because they did some research. I've seen this happen 1,000 times. But that's the point, is I've seen it happen 1,000 times. You're just one person out of the other ones, right? And they know the truth because they're an expert. They have a deep understanding of it. And so they can be so bold and like, no, I don't care. Whatever you researched or believe about it, nope, it's not going to work. Nope. And maybe they leave you to it. Like, try it. It won't work. And they're just so bold about it. And how? Because they know the truth. They've got a deep relationship with this thing. It's like God, oh, shoot. I mean, how do you really be bold about telling somebody who God is when God is who he says that he is, and we don't get to decide, but that's what I say that we do here under In the Image Clothing Company's fourth here, In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We have discussions on God as he says that he is. All right. So, well, how do you be bold about, explaining to somebody who God is, you've prayed to God a lot. You've talked to God with personal experience. You have a personal relationship with God. You've read God's word, right? Read the word of God, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Just scripture, true doctrine out of the mouth of God, speaking through his prophets or him speaking, himself, and people have written it down. And you see what I mean? You know what you're talking about. You know the truth. And so you can be as bold as you can be, discussing God as he says that he is. I mean, you can just read scripture word for word and be so bold about it. And you can talk about your past experiences with God, lining up with his word of how he says he operates, and it's happened in your life. And so you can just, speak it so bold to others. Like I was saying earlier with the example of, you better not think the world's against you, because it is. Get over yourself, because you've been in the same situation. I've used similar examples like that on past episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Or somebody dying, and it's like, maybe you had somebody die when you were young in your life that was a prominent figure in your life, if you will, if we're wording it like that, a prominent figure, but yeah. And you're like, dude, just get over it. I've been through this before, and that's the only way out. Acceptance of the truth. How to be bold. How are you just yelling at me? Can't you see that I'm in distress? Yeah, and I saw myself in distress 25 years ago when my mother died, for example. The only way out is acceptance. I saw it when that happened. I saw it when my friend's brother died. I saw it when my cousin's uncle died. It's like, you've been through this time and time again. The truth is, the only way out is moving forward. Let go of it. Leave the past in the past. Just live in the moment, bro. And right now, they're not here. And they're just not going to be here for the rest of your life. You got to accept it, move forward. And you're just so bold. Because it's the truth. Because you're an expert on dealing with loss. Because you know what you're talking about. Because you're preaching what you have practiced. Because you're saying things that line up with the Word of God. That's how to be bold. Because it's nothing to do with you. If you had some opinion on it and you wanted to be so bold out of what you thought would work, well, you just couldn't. I mean, if we think that we can be so bold and do things that we just think will work, then you just never would have anybody die in your life. If you just think you can do some kind of miracle out of you personally, because you want it to happen, I was thinking earlier today, when Jesus Christ healed that girl, really, he brought her back to life, She was a young girl and she had died. And he goes into the house. And the people are doing their, ritual that they do, the death ritual. They had people, singing and chanting and, after they die, it was just a cultural thing. Like a celebration of life or a celebration of death, right? Like a closing of a chapter. Jesus Christ, God himself, walks into the house and he says, shh, wait, hush, stop, no, stop this. She's not dead. She's only sleeping. Because this is God. And he can be so bold because he knows the truth. And he knows that he's almighty. Yeah. He knows, look, she's dead, but in the grand scheme of all this, y'all live in a probationary state anyway. All of a sudden, it's like slang. But seriously, that's fine to say because that's the point. It's got to be lighthearted. Death, birth is lighthearted. It's just one end of the same thing. It's a probationary state. This life we've been given by God. It's like, how do you be so bold about it? Like, hey, stop this ritualistic thing because you think she's died. No, she's just asleep. I'm gonna go raise her from the dead, says God. And how is he so bold in that instant? Because he knows the truth. Because he is the truth. Because he knows that he's going to raise her from the dead. Because God knows everything before it happens. So he's like, no, stop it. Don't even, stop it. Stop it with your rituals. She's just kind of taking a nap in a different place than this earthly existence. I'm going to go wake her back up. And he goes and he wakes her back up, I mean, really, he brings her back to life. She was dead, truly. But what does it really mean to be dead, because where'd you come from? Where are you going after this life? Why are we here? These are things that we can be so bold about if we know. Okay. How to be bold? Gain an understanding. That's really the answer. That's really the answer. That's really the answer, right, to my how-to. Learn who God is. Gain an understanding of your creator, because you have been created. You went from being something that was not to something that is, right? You had two parents, and your mother wasn't pregnant until she was. And then now all of a sudden there's this human being that grows inside of her that becomes you, and it's born. How does that happen? Well, gain an understanding. That's how to be bold. Learn the truth. Learn God. That's the whole thing. There's this phrase that has been said many times. We are not earning God. We're not earning a place in heaven. We're not earning, check this out. We're not earning a range of motion in the body by stretching into it. No, they're physical bones that only have the ranges of motion they have. It's impossible to stretch the body. You just hit bones together. Immovable bones will hit together. It's impossible to stretch the body. But what there is a neutral position. There is a center line. It's impossible. It's not my opinion. How to be bold? Know what you're talking about. Gain an understanding. Watch my body, okay? It's nothing to do with me other than in the ways that it has to be, because it is in ways, right? Do you see where I'm sitting again? How does he do it? How does he do it? It's not about him, but it's all about him. Learn the truth. That's how you be bold. Watch my body from the founding date, or wherever you want to, from the farthest point back of In the Image Clothing Company content to any most current date that you could see, like visual documentation, right, of the way my body physically operates as just the mechanical machine that we are as human beings placed onto a rock in space. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's impossible. I mean, to train it, right? They're just bones. They connect to each other through ligaments. There's cartilage between there that just can't wear out. That's the cushioning. There's only one way the bones mesh. Musculature connects to bones through tendons, and there's only one way that two endpoints of muscles can pull straight in line, because that's all muscles do. All of a sudden, I'm tearing the roof off the place, and I'm so bold about it because it's the truth. There's no opinion you could have. I don't have an opinion. I couldn't have an opinion that mattered about it, and I don't have an opinion on it. Anyway, this is the truth. Don't believe me. I mean, oh shoot, dude. But we live in a modern man-made world, and we have to be so intentional. All these free modifications we give under In the Image Clothing Company's main site in clothing. I mean, there's episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled specifically In the Image Clothing Company's modifications, like In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification. I filmed a video yesterday titled Rotated Clothing and Earth's Gravity. It's like, yikes, two things we have no say over: the center line of the human body and the center line to Earth's gravity's pole. They got a mesh. We place man-made clothing on us, and they have rotated things in them nowadays. Not only rotated seams because of modern stitching, that's just different than we ever dealt with just decades back from today's date, and never before then. But just even just designs of things that rotate, even buttons in the center that don't allow the body to stay even, because maybe we're buttoning it down past our hips, and when you bend your hips at your hip hinge, the only place your hips actually bend forward to back. Do you see what I mean? Then the body rotates. If it's just going to rotate with something placed onto it, it will just cause it to rotate. I mean, there's only truth. How to be bold. Know what you're talking about, or keep your mouth shut. Otherwise, it just comes back to bite you, right? Back to bite. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Shoot. How to be bold, man. Eternal information here. Welcome to my how-to. Don't believe me. What? Oh, gosh. That's how to be bold, really, though, is don't believe in anything. Because then you can just look at everything and find out what it really is. But that's the same thing as just wording it, gain an understanding. But that's the same thing as just saying don't say anything unless you know what you're talking about. But that's just the same thing as gain a relationship with God. That's just the same thing as try to always only ever speak truth. That's what I mean. There's only what there is to life. Life is only what it is. You can believe anything, but just don't. And then what's left? There's just, life still happens. So many people out there that don't believe in anything, but they're still there. Shoot. You can believe all you want about where you came from or what life really is, and think that you can decide it because you believe it. What about all the people out there that don't believe stuff? They don't have like a religion they follow or practice or preach or nothing. They're just still a human being somehow. Well, they gotta come from somewhere too. What's the truth? It's like, what? It's dumbfounding. Yeah, just, yeah. How to be bold. I'm really smart. And I've addressed it, and I'm not being prideful, because it's the same thing. How to be bold? Speak the truth. I'm very, very smart, and that does help. with being bold, because being bold as far as like what you're speaking is, like I'm saying, something that you just have to understand what you're saying. And when you're really, quite a smart person, you understand things well. And then it's easier to be bold because you just have that understanding that's required to be had to be able to be bold on it, because things are only what they are. So as long as you can understand what they are, you can scream it from the rooftops. Ah, man. I mean, you can sit here and fight about stuff all the time. I see that all the time. You have like a container and you've got things to like fit into a container. Let's say you've got two different sized containers. Like, man, do we need the bigger one? You think it's gonna fit in this one, or is it gonna fit in that one? And it's like, you're just really good at, you're an expert at just like packaging things, let's say. Truly, I mean, that's an expertise. People are just good at packaging stuff sometimes in life, right? People do it for work. They're out there putting things into boxes or containers or whatever it is, You're just really good at packaging things and understanding sizes and volume and space that things take up, geometry and physics and measurements and mathematics and truth, stuff that's undisputed. And you just know it better than somebody else, and you're an expert in it. And everyone's arguing like, it's not going to fit in that one. No, it is too small. And you're sitting here like, I'm not trying to be right, because it doesn't matter if I'm right or not. The truth is, I know that this is going to fit in there. And it just fits in there. It's like, well, how are you so bold? Huh? Right? How to be bold? Know what you're talking about. Well, it's because I do this all day, every day for work. This person, right, hypothetically. I sit there and I pack things and I put things into boxes and containers. And actually, I took, a lot of schooling. It's not about schooling necessarily, but, they have a deep understanding of, geometry and, volumes and spaces of things, right? Measurements, actual, like, factual, truthful things that don't change and nobody's opinion could matter about. And they're like, well, yeah, I really know math. And I have a lot of experience with this, and whatever else it is, this person's an expert. So they're going to just kind of scream it at you like, nah, don't believe me, but it's going to fit. Just do it. Just put it in there. It's going to fit. And then you put it in there and it fits. And they're like, it wasn't about me. I just knew it. I knew the truth. So I spoke it. It was going to fit. And it did. Look, it's in there. It's like, how to be bold. Just know what you're talking about. It's okay if you don't know things. I mean, that's a big point to hit. And I mean, that should be obvious, but it's not obvious to a lot of people. And then just anybody at any time in their life that it's not obvious either. I mean, me at times in my life, I used to just want to know everything. We can't know everything. That's what I'm getting to. We just can't know everything in this life, right? So when I say just know what you're talking about, just gain an understanding, just, blah, blah, blah. If you don't know, just don't say anything. Don't speak out of opinions, because it's going to come back to bite you, right? If you don't understand it, that's fine. Plenty of people don't understand plenty of things. There's going to be, more things that I can even comprehend exist that I will never understand in this life. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't need to know anything you don't need to know. But if you want to be bold, and it's not even really about wanting to be bold, but, a lot of times we feel like nobody takes us seriously, nobody cares, and we feel like we can't even say anything because they might not listen anyway, and, well, if you know what you're talking about and you're speaking the truth to the best that you can be as bold as you want, and then it doesn't matter if anybody even listened to you or not. Because what you said was still true, if what you said was still true, which is not something you could ever decide, but it's something you can understand. See what I mean? It's apart from all of us. Because I can sit there and I can tell somebody exactly how it is, or we can say this person who just knows the sizings of things and what will fit, and they just say this will fit. It will, and they're so bold about it, but nobody listens to them. And they put it in the other container anyway, and then it ends up being that they find out, after the fact that it would have fit. It doesn't matter if they listened to you or not, you still spoke the truth. You still were bold, and there was no repercussion from it. How to be bold? Well, also, why would you be bold? And also, does it matter if you're bold? And also, really, if you're bold and then nobody even listened anyway, is that a problem? No. That's what I mean. I've made right around 1,000 videos, all 4 sides of In The Image Clothing Company combined as of today's date. And no matter who listens to them, watches them, cares or doesn't care, I can be as bold as I want. It's not about somebody else, it's about the truth. That's the whole thing in life. Again, you go to someone's class, they try to teach you how to be bold so people listen to you. No, don't, no. I'd rather be so bold and people not listen. If I'm speaking the truth, then try to be bold about some opinion and have people believe me. It's like, nah, it doesn't matter if anyone believes anything. Doesn't matter if you even listen to me. I'm gonna still be as bold as I'm gonna be if I'm speaking the truth. I mean, I could sit here and we could be on episode 10,000 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And we could have 400 total views or listens, out of 10,000 episodes. And it wouldn't matter. I can still be as bold as I am because it's not about trying to convince or trying to get people on board or get people to believe. It's about the truth. That's how to be bold, is don't care. If you speak the truth, it doesn't matter if people, well, kind of. It kind of doesn't matter if people listen to you or not. I mean, if it's the truth, it's the truth, regardless of anything. That's the point on both ends. And so, sure, yeah, they have to listen to it or else they're opposing just things as they are, the only truth that exists about whatever it is that you're discussing, because that thing is only what that thing is, and that's how you can even discuss it. It's crazy. It's just the truth. That's it. I mean, it's so weird. Life is so simple. It's so weird. And so yeah, they either listen or they don't, and it doesn't really matter either way. Be as bold as you want, and maybe nobody even heard your words. It doesn't really matter either way, because you still said the truth. I mean, yeah. That's so weird. I mean, because it's like the idea of I know everything that I know. And so if I share it with anybody or not, I still know it. Like all the things that In the Image Clothing Company is, right? That I founded In the Image Clothing Company to be. Allowing the body to work, letting dogs stay natural. All these things and the reasons we have In the Image Clothing Company. And then all the little things that come with that too, that are not just like those baseline things only, but we do so much here. Really. And don't believe me, but yeah, it's huge. But I could never tell anybody else what I know. And I could live my own life and benefit from all the things that are true, that I'm so bold about behind a camera. And it wouldn't matter. Really. If anybody else knew. My life would still be changed forever. Knowing how clothing has to sit on my body, knowing how the body really works, anatomy-wise, knowing how to really eat naturally and stay hydrated and, just live life, sleep well. I mean, this is what I mean, is all of these things I do. That's what I mean, is I just speak out of personal experience. I preach what I have practiced. But I can still practice these things without ever preaching it. And it wouldn't matter. If I was so bold, or if I didn't say a single word, it wouldn't really matter. For me, I mean, not really. And that's weird to even say. But how to be bold? Well, because it works. Because I'm just teaching you what I know. And I know that it's universal. It's like the gospel of Jesus Christ. I mean, you know God and you go to heaven. You have a relationship with God. That's crazy. It's so real, and you go to heaven and you live your life with the Spirit of God dwelling with you. You get baptized and shoot. There you go. Your life's set. You would never have to be bold about anything to anyone else. You just do your own thing. It's you and God. Or you go out there and preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, every kindred, nation, tongue, and people, everyone, always, anywhere, it applies, right? Black, white, bond, and free, and women, and men, and man, and woman, and Who cares? You're a son or a daughter of God. And listen how bold I am about it. That's what I mean. I'd never have to say anything for my salvation, if you will, right? For me to go to heaven. Or I could sit here and be so bold about it without, without being overbearing in all the ways that I can refrain from being overbearing. I'm just a prideful person. I get it. And I'm very overbearing at times. I get it. Let me just own up to it. Let me just confess my sins. Let me just address it and be bold about it, because I know that that's true. A lot of times, at least, I've been, overstepping when I shouldn't. I'm a human being. I'm sinful. It is what it is. But I can be so bold about the fact that we're all sinful by nature. Overcoming the natural man is our goal, Yeah, man. So that's what I mean. It's either it's a personal thing and you don't even care, who cares? Ah, shoot. Or you be as bold as you can about it externally and then preach it to other people and still not care. Who cares? That's how to be bold, is don't care. This woman, last year, she gave me some good advice, and she said, talked about how, we don't need advice, but she spoke some truth to me. Seriously, because she said, let me not care. You want someone to be your friend so much, but you're not going to force someone to be your friend. Let them not care about you. You want to be in a relationship romantically with somebody, but you're not going to force somebody to love you, so let them not care about you. How to be bold. How to be bold with your expression of love. Know what it really means to love somebody. And that means you love them, regardless of if they think you're the most terrible person on the earth. That's the thing. God's love is unconditional. God is love. The truth, the way, the life, love. Over here, there's actually this plaque thing that's got, probably about 15, give or take, names of God, Jesus Christ, right? He has many names, and he has names that are, personal to us as well. Names that we know him by, compassion, comfort, peace. This is just God we're talking about, manifesting himself to us in whatever way he does. And sometimes he does it as a dove. Sometimes he does it as the man, Jesus Christ. Sometimes he does it through a burning bush. Sometimes he does it in a still, small voice. Sometimes he does it through, a voice with this the sound of rushing, roaring waters, right? I mean, it's just God. That's so ridiculous to say like that, because that's a good way to say it. It's just God. No downplaying, but just meaning that's the thing. You get a close relationship with God and everything and anything, and God is. it's just God. I mean, it's like a casual thing when we're talking about the almighty creator of everything. You see what I mean? How do you be bold? About talking to people about who God is. You know who God is. I mean, he is only who he is. He's who he says that he is. He's him. And you're just you trying to understand him. And if you understand him, if you've gained an understanding, you can be as bold as you want, bro. How to be bold. Man. Yeah, it's like just buck up, Just get over yourself. Those kind of things, I mean, that's the freedom. Shoot. But yeah, another name for Jesus Christ, or God himself, is love. So, I mean, how do you be bold about loving someone? You love somebody regardless of if they're ever going to even care about you at all. Because love is hear this correct, because it's true. Love is a one-sided thing. That's crazy. That's the truth. Period. Love is, I love this. I love that. I love you. Regardless of this, that, or you, and the opinions or care about me. You can love animals so much, and all they want to do is kill you. You can love. What's an animal that would actually kill you? Like an alligator. like a hippopotamus, something it's just gonna kill you because it's got to eat. It doesn't even really care what it eats. If it can fit you in its mouth, it's gonna eat you. I mean, even like some big snakes, they're man eaters. If they can fit you in their mouth, they're just gonna eat you if they can. They don't have any harsh feelings toward you, but they don't love you. But you can love them, and you can have just such bold love because you have an understanding of what love truly is. How to be bold, right? This is what I mean. This is why I can give you a tutorial. Because I'm not saying opinions. That's what I'm saying. Is that ridiculous or what? These are things that are outside of myself. It's not outside of yourself. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, but that's more like just like your own personal world and existence. It's all inside your own being. That's what I mean. All the love you have for anything else is in you. There's no love that you have for your husband, for those women out there, or any love that you have for your wife, for those men out there, that's outside of you. It's inside you. And you can love someone and be so bold about it, and they cannot even care. And you cannot change also. You can also still just continue to love them so much, and be so bold about it. And they're just like, well, sure, but I don't care about you the same. And you can still be just as bold. I mean, right? Without being overbearing, without overstepping. Do you see what I mean? This the whole it's the gospel of Jesus Christ. All of a sudden, I'm a real preacher, and I am. I don't feel like I fit in all that well. I don't want to say that in a bad way, but that's the truth. In the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, it's the place to be. But I speak so bold, and you just don't get that all that common. At least not here in Utah's culture, right? The church headquarters state of Utah. Yeah, you don't see it all that much, that boldness that I have, that a lot of like other Christian preachers, preach their sermons with. That's really what these are, is sermons. Episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, like, that's how you would define what we do here. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's a sermon. That's what I do, Evan Strong. I am a preacher, not self-proclaimed. That's literally what I do here. That's just what you would title this. Yes, I am a preacher. I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. I do it bold because I know God, because I know Scripture well. You see what I mean? I do it because I can. How to? Well, because I know what I'm talking about. You rarely hear me ever saying things. I mean, I do all that I can, truly, all that I can to not ever say things. Like, I think maybe I heard one time that if, like going into something like, I don't really know what I'm saying, but this might be how it is. Just about never hear me saying stuff like that, because that's only damaging to well, no, not only damaging to myself, but that's damaging to myself as well as other people. And that's for anybody, if we're just trying to speak something and be so like right about something we're wrong about. It's like, keep your mouth shut. Learn more about it. Once you actually fully understand this, well, when I say fully, I mean to the degree where you can be bold about it without worrying that you don't know what you're saying. Then be as bold as you want. But until then, no, keep your mouth shut. Listen more than you speak, and you'll learn more. And then you can speak about it. Right? Do more, say less. An episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We got to listen more, man, than we often do, right? As human beings. Oh, shoot. Listen. Remember. These are things that God says. I mean, the still small voice. And we got to listen. That's the Spirit of God. He says often he speaks in a still small voice, but he speaks how he speaks. That's what I'm saying. When God manifests himself in all sorts of ways, he's God. That titling, that name, I mean, that's another name for God, is God. Is that crazy? That's another name for Jesus Christ, is God. Another name for the truth is God. We can take the title God and place it on the creator of all things. Is this weird? See, this is what I mean. There's only truth, and that is God. Oh my gosh. Is that weird or what? God is only a title, Oh my gosh. Is this weird? It almost sounds like I don't know how to even put that in words, because it almost that's what I mean, is you don't have to believe in anything and there's just truth. You don't have to believe in anything and God's still there. It almost sounds like something that wouldn't even have to ever have a debate, because it doesn't. Do you see what I mean? It almost sounds like it's so obvious that there could be no question. And that's kind of how it is. Once we can see it, it's as obvious as it gets once you see it, however I phrase that exactly. I say that, just when I discuss things, there's just truth. There's always truth. It's always right there in front of our face, and God gives us the eyes to see it. Because, yeah. Oh, man. We can take love. and instead of saying God is love, we can say love is God. They're both just titles of things as they are. God is, and there you go, right? It says that in Scripture. God is, or Jesus Christ is the great I am. These are like, it sounds like unfinished sentences, but it's just the same thing as saying anything. It's like there's nothing else to say, because that's the point, is God is. Anything there is there, that's there. And that's God, because that's the truth, and because that is what it is, and because there's no dispute to it, because it exists, because it's God. Do you see what I mean? That's a titling of something that is unchanging. Peace. Peace is a feeling that's always the same feeling. It's peace. God is God. Love is love. Truth is truth. I mean, these things, it is what it is. How to be bold. Know what you're talking about. I've got such a problem with this, and I'll never change having a problem with this. It's the truth, There's so many misconceptions and misunderstandings in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A lot of people legitimately think that Jesus Christ and God are two separate people that couldn't be one. But God is God. I mean, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled One God, and I got so bold about it because, well, how to be bold? Know what you're talking about. People just get so misunderstanding. Well, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled It's Only as Complicated as You Make It. Yeah. I mean, it's God. He's the creator of all things. It's not like you have to, oh man, how to be bold. I'm not saying anything against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, meaning nothing opposing what it says, but members in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints get so misunderstanding of God. Shoot. Because, Joseph Smith, the founder, right, of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the one who translated the Book of Mormon, he saw God the Father, and he saw his Son, Jesus Christ. Two separate beings. Well, yeah, but I mean, God is all things. God's a separate being in any way that he's a separate being. I mean, God is nature, but God is, you know what I mean? God is everything. It's like trying to say that God can't be over there because he's over here, but God is inhabiting all things. It's like you're just a human being trying to understand perfection, and you're never going to. But there is only one God, and his name is Jesus Christ, right? The universe has a name. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I mean, there's no question. This is what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is. This is what Joseph Smith would tell you if he were here today, still alive, to say it to you in person. This is what the prophet at any current time of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will say to you as well. how to be bold. Because I say things like, it's ridiculous. There's only one God. And like, and that's bold. And it's like, wow. But there's a father and a son. Well, yeah, there's a mother and a daughter. It's one family. I mean, it's just life. It's just it. God is. Do you see what I mean? There's only God. His name is Jesus Christ. And so how to be bold? How can I say that and then like not worry about like having a problem with anybody in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because it's the true church? Well, it's because I know what I'm talking about. I know God. And he is Jesus Christ. That's how I can be so bold. Because it lines up with his word. And that's something that we didn't write as human beings. That's the word of God. It says many, 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 many times in all the scriptures that we would listen to, really knowing their true doctrine. The Book of Mormon and the Holy Bible specifically. It says many times in both of them, so clearly, Jesus Christ is God. And sure, they're two separate beings, but they're not. It's like saying, this legitimately, it's like saying the Americas and Africa are two separate continents. Well, it's on the same earth. Sure, Jesus Christ and God the Father are two separate beings, part of one Godhead. It's God. I mean, you can't understand it in a way you're going to understand it fully. It's God. There's only one God, the creator of heaven and earth. It's God. It's Jesus Christ. And he says it's so clear in the Book of Mormon. So many times, worded differently, said the exact same way so clearly, Jesus Christ, the man, is the Father. The Son is the Father. The Father is in the Son is in the Father. God is, right? The Holy Spirit of God dwells in all things, but it's no different than God the Father. It's no different than God the Son. It's no different than the other Christian organizations. This is what oh my gosh, I've heard it multiple times personally, sitting just in church, from different people. They will say blanket statements, meaning just a statement that's like broad spread. They don't even know what they're saying. They're not specific, and they're lying. It's a true lie. Check that paradox out. A true lie. I've heard it many times from multiple different people. Multiple times from multiple different people. In church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, people have claimed all other Christian denominations believe blank or whatever, It's like, all? First off, we are a Christian denomination. The Church of who? Jesus Christ. Christians is who we are. Of Latter-day Saints. This, again, they're wrong. So how do you be bold? You know what you're talking about, or just don't speak, and that's fine. It's fine to not know things, but then don't open your mouth. That's what I mean. You don't know what you're talking about. That's not me making an accusatious claim. That's me being bold because I do know what I'm talking about in the instances that I say stuff like that. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, that's such a beautiful thing, such a thing that is so damaging. Jesus Christ is God. He says that he is God, and he is who he says that he is, and he says it many times in the Book of Mormon, which is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There'd be no Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints if there were no Book of Mormon. That's the book that Joseph Smith translated from God himself, the authority and power of God. Through Joseph Smith, the man, the prophet, is how the Book of Mormon came to be. The Book of Mormon is the foundation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which makes it what it is, and how we know how to even have this church be a church, a way to organize human beings to worship God, who is Jesus Christ. It says it so many times in there from different prophets in different books within the Book of Mormon, worded different ways, saying the exact same thing. Jesus Christ is God. Oh my gosh, how to be bold? Know what you're saying. And please don't speak if you don't. This goes for myself. This goes for anybody, because it's crazy. I mean, a lot of people in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would not call themselves, or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a Christian or a Christian church. Do you even know what you're talking about? Christ. It's like Christmas. It's Christmas. It's the birth of Christ we celebrate. We go to the Church of Jesus Christ as Christians to worship God, because God's name is in our church's titling, Jesus Christ, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's like, yeah, how to be bold? Well, know what you're saying, please. It's so unfortunate. I mean, there's like lack of a better word, because there's just lack of understanding. It's unfortunate. You know, people get so misled. So don't believe me. But see who God says he is, you know, because he decides. I can point you to him, but gosh. That's one of those things, like, you know, get it off your chest. And I have, but yeah, I mean, I almost every single Sunday I go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I hear somebody in some form trying to separate Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and then God, the Father, as if they couldn't exist as one. And it's just one God. It's just one God. I don't have an opinion. I mean, you can hear the countenance in my voice. Don't believe me. Don't let me lead you astray personally, right? I'm telling you to watch out for people leading you astray. Don't let me lead you astray. Read the word of God. Read it word for word. Read it as it is. Learn who God actually says he is. Because we live in the last days, man. And that's the thing is, we got a lot of deception. We've got a lot of still small voices. We've got me, the person saying all this, Evan Strong. I left the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for about 13 months, right? The second time around, an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, where I got rebaptized back in because I got deceived myself, you know, because of these very people. That's what I'm saying. I don't mean the exact specific individuals that I'm, you know, discussing in this necessarily, but maybe, you know, just anybody who's talking about God in different ways than he says that he is. Jesus Christ is our God. There's one God. I mean, I was listening to the Book of Mormon today. I try to every single morning. I like to listen to it because, you know, I just operate the way that I do, and that works well for me. I can just, you know, listen to it be read to me from my little device here, which is awesome. And I don't remember for sure. It was chapter 4 of one of the books in the Book of Mormon. You know, I mean, I think it's Mosiah 15. It says it so clear. Jesus Christ and God the Father are one. I mean, just the more you try to complicate it, the less clear you'll be. God is so simple. I mean, even that, you know, the simple truths of God. I mean, inasmuch as you keep my commandments, you will prosper in the land. Simple. Inasmuch as you do not keep my commandments, you'll be cut off. You know, God is so simple, you know. The 2 great commandments: love God first and foremost with all your whole being in all aspects of you. And then secondly, love your neighbor as yourself. God is so simple, and God is the man who came, Jesus Christ. I mean, it even says it like that. It literally says in the Book of Mormon, don't believe me, but God humbled himself as a man and came to earth. God came to earth. God didn't just send somebody else that could be his son. God came in the form of Jesus Christ. We call him the only begotten because he's the only perfect one of us that resembles God exactly. You know, I mean, there's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled The Only Begotten. I discussed it. You know, why God gave us the imagery of Jesus Christ when God is just eternal and this perfect almighty being, you know, he gave us an understanding of who he is just because we can't understand fully who he is. He's perfect and we're not. He's almighty and we're not. I mean, that click is like the light bulb, like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. That's the word, because that's not like a negative word to use. It's just the truth. That's unfortunate that people just, I mean, they have a hard time with it. Oh, they try to take so many steps to get to God, and he's dwelling within you. You don't need to go anywhere. You need to stand in a holy place and be not moved. Do you see what I mean? You got to know God, or you don't know anything. How to be bold. Have a clear conscience by doing all you can to not speak on things that you don't understand. And then you can be as bold as you want on things you really understand. And I really understand who God is. Yeah, it's crazy, bro. And that's why I do this. That's why we have 1/4 of In the Image Clothing Company. That is this. In the Image Clothing Company podcast. That's why I said a few minutes ago and made it so clear. I mean, it just is what it is. But yeah, that's the case. I'm a preacher. I am. I mean, if I had, you know, like a stadium in front of me and I was on a stage behind like a pulpit, or I just have like a microphone or whatever, and there's like 40,000 people here. Or if I'm sitting right here on this living room floor in front of a Christmas tree my siblings and my mother put up, and, you know, there's a cabinet behind me, and I'm just kind of like chilling, and 40,000 people listen to In the Image Clothing Company podcast, episode 180. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It just looks different. This is what I mean. There's only truth. The truth is, you're speaking to 40,000 people if they're sitting in chairs in front of you physically, or, you know, if 40,000 people watch a video you filmed, you're still speaking to the same amount of people. It's the exact same thing. it's the exact same thing. There's only truth. And so that's how you be bold, is you understand some things. And I'm not trying to be prideful. I'm prideful. I get it. But I'm not trying to talk down on people who don't understand things as well as I do. But I'm just saying, if it's me or anyone else, it's never a great option to try to say anything about anything that you don't really understand well. Because you can't be bold about it because you're kind of questioning it yourself, you know? And that's the thing. That's how I can preach the gospel so boldly, because I do know God. And it's not a problem to... that's the thing you got to be careful with saying, because it's kind of a problem to preach the gospel if you don't really know what you're preaching. But it's about personal relationships. It's personal salvation. We receive personal revelation. You know, it's between us and God. And so that's why it's kind of hard to say, because I don't want to, you know, discourage anybody from trying to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, but I mean, it's not the focus. Hear this correct, because this should be said in this, if I can, unless I get cut off with, you know, storage space running out or battery percentage, you know, dying or whatever on this device. But you almost shouldn't preach the gospel of Jesus Christ if you don't really know what you're saying. Because the reason we preach the gospel of Jesus Christ is so we can personally know God, and then we can, you know, do that on a broader scale. Every one of the people who gets preached to can personally, is the key word, personally know God. We don't preach the gospel of Jesus Christ for just, you know, speaking words out there. We're just introducing people to God. We're inviting people to God. We're not projecting something out there. We're pulling people in. We're being fishers of men. That's what I mean. You have to understand it. That's what I'm saying. You got to know enough to know enough. You got to know enough to be intentional. This is something I've been saying lately too on In the Image Clothing Company's main side, you know, more so. Yeah, you got to know enough to know enough, though, Otherwise, you can maybe potentially mislead people by trying to do good things, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. We're not convincing. And I know it says the wordage in Scripture, convince them of the truth. What it really means is remind them of the truth. We are gathering Israel, right? We are bringing people to Zion. These are scriptural terms. We'll get into it where we do, but just read your scriptures. You can get into it by yourself personally. That's the point. How to be bold? It's you and God. You don't go out there trying to convince people of stuff. You know something, and you bring people with you. You don't go preaching things. See, that's the thing with the word preaching. Because really, we're not preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. We're sharing what we know to bring people in. We're not pushing things out there. It's not outside of yourself. That's what I was saying earlier. It's inside of you. The Spirit of God dwells within his children. And so okay, I'm going to say these phrases. We gather Israel, bringing in, okay? We bring people to Zion. We fish for men, okay? When Jesus Christ, God himself, one God, Jesus the Christ. The Christ. Christ is the titling of God. That's what I was saying earlier about you can say love is God or God is love. Christ is God or God is Christ. There are types of Christs as it's worded in Scripture. Jesus is a man who is the Christ. It's God. All right? It's not my opinion, no approach. This is me just clearing things up. This is me gathering you into the truth. Don't believe me because, yikes. There's so many misconceptions nowadays on who God is. That's why we have the Word of God, is so that we can know. But yeah, when Jesus Christ, again, God in the flesh, even that, we partake of the flesh and the blood of God so that we can always have his Spirit to be with us. It's not like, God has to say, hey, Spirit of mine, come over here, and God the Father is not a separate being, telling a separate being that is his Spirit that another separate being that is his Son, Jesus Christ, is who these people are taking the bread and water in remembrance of the bread being the body of Jesus Christ, and then the blood being the water, right? As a remembrance of Jesus Christ dying for us. There's not three separate beings here trying to all have a meeting. Come on, Godhead. And this is good to say with this level of almost laxity, right? Because you got to hear it as it is. This is God, one God. Not like they're trying to have a meeting, three beings separate, like a lot of people say that I've personally heard. Teaching classes in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, that I've just kind of heard, talking in conversation in a group of people. Also, no. However it is, no. However it comes to being that people are saying it incorrect. God is God. Shoot. Yeah, that's why we have In The Image Clothing Company Podcast, so that we have a place where you could not believe Evan Strong, but so that I can really share a lot of deep understandings that I have, because I do. I have deep understandings of a lot of things, okay? I've been given a lot by God. It's not stuff I could take credit for, but it's stuff that's just there. It's true. It's just what it is. Again, it's just proof. I've got 180 episodes as of this one of me just speaking the deep understandings I have. I couldn't make a claim on it. It's there. You can see it. You know that it's true because it's true. I couldn't claim it is or not and have that change that it's just, yes, I understand things well. And that's why I'm here, is to share things that I understand. God, as in an expression, and also as in to share God, okay, with everybody that I can. Because, Jesus Christ called Simon Peter, the fisherman, to be a disciple of him, a follower of God, okay? And he says, you will no longer catch fish, but now you will be a fisher of men, or mankind, women as well, right? Just the human being, the human being, right? Men, human. Catch the phrasing. Truth is truth. Yeah, what I'm saying is, oh my gosh. What I'm saying is this is the only fulfillment you'll ever get in life that is fulfilling, is actually fulfilling, is God. And what I'm really saying is we're bringing people to God. You know, we're learning who God is because we can't earn God's love. It's given freely. And so, yeah. How to be bold. Bring people into what you understand because you understand it. Don't go out there and try to convince somebody of something. You speak something that you know and people will come to you. Gather. Gather together oft. Meaning often, right? I mean, these are phrases in scripture. Ah, shoot. Anyway, I don't even know what more to say right now about this. Maybe that's just where we leave this episode, you know, because I love it. It's one of those episodes, it's just chocked full of stuff. It's kind of all over the place. That's what I love. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Unorthodox and untraditional, like I say, you know, it's just... Anyway,